What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to today's video where I've got a really exciting development here. If you are a longtime viewer of the channel, or even in the last year, I guess, if you've been watching some of the videos, you'll know that I've got a soft spot for third generation Camaros and Firebirds. Now, they're not everybody's cup of tea, but I think they are the car that the Lord baby Jesus would drive if he came back. And what I did is I went shopping around a little bit and I found another one. So I've got another good project car. We're gonna hop right into the video where I go on one fruitless adventure and I find a real proper roach of a third gen that I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole, and I ended up picking a different one. So enough about that. We're gonna go hop in the truck and go for a little ride and take a look at a Firebird. So we'll see you guys in the truck. Alright, so the car I'm looking at is at this body shop, I'm sure. And after he sent me the address, I was pretty sure I knew where it was. And it's got to be somewhere around here, so we got to find where it might be, a little fenced in area. It's going to be a sad sight. Oh, there it is. And to be honest, I'm a little bit worried that it's going to be in a lot worse shape than I thought it was going to be. And I mean, it's got the right look here all parked, but there it is. It is a GTA, probably. So there it is, all locked away. Looks to be pretty rough, but it's not rusty, which is kind of what I'm looking for. We got a smashed windshield, and man, it's rough. It's on a flat. We'll see if he's gonna work on the price here. If he does, and he'll help me get it back to my house or whatever, I'll probably pick it up. It's got a cool look to it. I think I can actually work with this one. It says it needs a starter and maybe a head gasket, but we'll see. We will see. Alright, so someone else actually showed up to take a look at it, but this thing is a turd. Now, I have no idea how this is going to go, but they're checking the car out right now. Their truck and trailer, and keep you guys posted. It's rough. So that ended up not working out, which is too bad. The car had a title in the guy's dead friend's name. It had a lien on it with no lien release card, but allegedly the dude could get it. The car didn't run. It had a blown head gasket. I couldn't pop the hood. It was sitting on a couple flat tires, and there was no way I was going to get it home anyways. So that car was a hard no. And as you saw, weirdly enough, somebody came and they actually bought that thing. I left because they were going to start loading it up on the trailer. So I think they paid like $1,000 for it, which is mind-blowing to me. That car was a proper turd. Interior was just destroyed. I mean, there was nothing good about that car. Not only that, it was a lot rustier than the one I actually ended up buying. So the next part of this, we're going to actually buying the Camaro that I bought. So we're going on another little trip to go take a look at it, and I'll explain kind of what happened the first day I went and looked at it, because it didn't go well. Alright, so that car did not work out, but in a strange turn of events, looking around on Facebook Marketplace again while I was waiting for lunch to show up when I was in the drive-thru, I found an 86 Z28 hardtop car. 5-speed, it's white with black accents and a gray interior. It's pretty much the combo you want. It says there's an aftermarket motor in it. There's no pictures of it, no description. It's a lady selling it. So I'll take a look at it, at least see what it's about. I am looking for something like that though that I would end up keeping. So if it turns out to be a nice hardtop Z28 car or even an Iroc, it'd be something that I'm really actually kind of keeping my eye out for as a good deal on one that I would buy, modify, and keep, just like the Trans Am, try and make it really nice. So it's about 20 minutes away from my house. I'm on my way there to check it out right now, and I guess I'll keep you guys posted on whether or not this one works out. I'm not quite sure what video this stuff is going to fit into, but who knows, maybe it'll be buying the next project car for the channel. So we'll see you guys at the car probably. So the day that I went and looked at it, I met the lady's son who was to be selling it for her, and he swore it runs good. He drove it, put a lot of miles on it. He's driven it 2 hours at a time, and you know, he was confident in it. I get all the way up there, we go to start it, and all that happens is chunk, nothing's happening. So what ended up happening was that the starter locked up on the ring gear, I guess for the flywheel of this car. And what's too bad about that is it does run good. The guy was right. I believed him. We tried to pull start it with his Explorer a few times, and it just didn't work. We didn't have enough traction being on a dirt road. It would just lock up the tires. So a few days go by. He does go through and put a brand new starter in it, and I go back, test drive the car. Goes good, and as you'll see here, we end up buying it. So here we are picking up the car, and we'll pick up, I guess, back at their house. So here's your first look at the car. Alright, there's the car. What do you think? Are you asking me? I don't know. I was just kind of asking for see. See, look at it.
I think it looks good.
It'll clean up good, right?
Yeah.
See how dirty it is? Alright, so last couple years the car kind of sat in the corner here on that little pad, and the lady's son actually worked out in the garage for a couple days, and he got a starter put in it and it works. So the car actually ran really good, and what we're going to do now is go drive it home because we went on a little test drive and everything was good. So I'll fire up the car and we will get out of here. It's got a little cam in it. We don't know anything about the motor other than it runs pretty good. Clutch feels good, transmission feels great, rear end's quiet, no howling, nothing like that. And check that out. It's pretty sweet, huh? So, we'll get out of here. All right, and we're rolling. So, sorry I didn't take you guys on the test drive. My buddy Ryan and I just went for a little cruise in the car around the lake that the lady lives on, and it drove really good actually. So I'm a little bit surprised that it drove as good as it did after sitting for a couple years, but honestly, it drives good. The engine makes good power, it feels like. Transmission's great. Rear end's nice and quiet, so it doesn't seem to be all destroyed or anything like that, at least. But what you notice, first and foremost, that the car really needs to be cleaned up inside and out. I've got to repair the headliner, which is sagging like 99% of the other cars that you'd find in this generation that have been maybe even a little bit neglected, I guess. But mechanically, the car's pretty good, aside from some exhaust leaks and whatever else is going to pop up. So we'll go on a little cruise. We've got about a half-hour ride home, and hopefully we make it. Is not going to set any speed records or anything, but it does drive good. So it feels like it's got more power than a stock 305 would have in this thing. I think it's got a little cam in it, so I'll have to take a look at the block closer and see if it's a 350 or what it should be. So I'll check in with you guys in a little bit. It's like that you betrayed, breathing life through distorted eyes. Feels good. This little carousel coming off the bridge, so steering feels pretty good overall, to be honest. Nothing wrong with it necessarily. But I would guess in the maybe 200 range, it's pretty slow. Made a lot of noise, you hear the carburetor suck and go nowhere. So it felt like it ran good, But as far as being a powerhouse, I don't think we've got a 383 stroker like the guy that I bought it from said could have it in there, and I don't believe that. So anyways, it gets out of its own way, so this will be a fun car to drive. If you're looking for something that's like in near stock form to go autocross or something like that, a 3rd generation Camaro Firebird is just perfect, as long as you've got a 5-speed. So if you want to check out a really cool 3rd gen, check out Garage Engineer on Instagram. But we're almost home, so I'll catch up with you guys in the garage. Alright, so as you can tell, we made it home in one piece, which is amazing. If you're new to the channel, this is my Trans Am WS6, this is the C6 Z06, and this is the new 86 Iroc-Z 28. So, I'll back the car up and we'll go over it real quick and wrap up today's video. Alright, so we got the car home. It is the next day, just like I said, and here it is. You actually get a decent look at it. It's white, it's got the black buckets that are all painted like that, which I like about it. It's got the IROC hood still, which is cool. They didn't get all pillaged or anything over the years, and honestly, it's in rough shape, but I do have a lot to work with here. I think with a good power washing, a lot of what you're seeing here is going to come right off. So it had been sitting under a tree and all that, so a lot of this stuff is just going to power wash off. If I do any sort of paint correction, like a really cheap DIY sort of restoration on it, this car is going to look really good. I mean, check it out in here. There's literally moss growing in a lot of the trim. So this poor thing has just really been sitting, I mean, everywhere in here. Look at this. We got some nature growing, but so far so good. The car hasn't seemed to leak anything overnight. I looked under it, so no oil, coolant, anything like that. The 10 bolt's not leaking. I'll pop the hood real quick. I'll go over the drivetrain, but that's gonna be about it for this video. I'm gonna have to wait till the next one to actually start cleaning it up, and that'll be the next video, I guess, but I wanted to go over this real quick with you guys so you can kind of see what I'm working with here. A quick view of the interior. It's pretty good. Bolsters aren't all blown out. It's just dirty. So all this stuff here, I can work with all this. This is stuff I can clean up. I think it's a really good starting point. As you'll see, we got a factory 5-speed car. E-brake works. All the gears are good, as you saw from last night driving it home. Another couple cool features about this car is that the hood struts hold the hood up all on their own. That's a rare feature on a 3rd gen. And I found out last night that the hatch struts are good too. Now, here's what we've got for our mystery engine. It is a carbureted small block of some sort, and it does feel like it's got an RV cam or something like that in it. It does pull okay, you know, for being as dingy and disgusting as it is, it runs pretty good. So aside from a couple exhaust leaks, I haven't noticed anything leaking. It seems to be a healthy motor. So I mean, just look at the bottom of the hood. It's black. Like, all this stuff will just come out. It'll come out perfectly white. So the power washing on this car is going to be super satisfying, you know, under the hood and everything like that. So not too much to write home about. It could be a 350, that'd be my guess. I'll have to look at the cylinder heads and see if there's any sort of casting info on the back of them, but otherwise we're kind of dealing with just, you know, years of leaves and all this stuff from sitting under a tree. A good wash is going to go a long ways on this thing, which is awesome. But otherwise, that's about all I've got to go over with on the car, I guess. There's not too much to say about it. It just drove good. Brakes all feel good. This is a front disc rear drum car, and I think on the back there's aluminum drums on both sides, which is kind of interesting. You can see here, this is aluminum. I think these are kind of hard to replace, but they are 5 to 10 pounds lighter than steel drums, I guess. That's what I read anyways. So last thing I'll go over is just a couple more things on the interior. This has crank windows. This came with a factory LG4, which is a 305 V8, and obviously a manual transmission was never offered with a 350 in the 3rd gen, so this would have came with a 305, but this one was the LG4. It has the GU5 rear end, so it should have a 323 gear ratio in the back, and as far as I know, it's never been swapped or anything like that, so this should be pretty close to as factory as it gets, besides the engine. So that's about all I've got to say about the car. It kind of just speaks for itself. I think I've got a good start. There is a tiny bit of rust in 1 or 2 spots on it, so it's not as clean as the last car, but I think this one will show as well. So if that makes sense to you, that's why I bought it. If you guys wanted to, take a guess at what I paid for it, drop a comment down below, and the person that gets closest to it, I'll send out a couple of big UMI decals that I got with the torque arm relocation video on the install here of this Trans Am. So whoever gets closest to it, I'll make it easier. It's under $4,000. I won't say how much, but it's under $4,000. So if you have any guesses, whoever's closest, in the next upload, I'll just announce a winner and I'll ship you out a couple of big decals from UMI Performance. So I guess that's about all I've got for today's video. If you're new to the channel, thanks for checking this out. I'm gonna do some fun stuff with this car. I don't quite know what I'm gonna do with it yet, other than get it running good and kind of make it right and clean it up and have it sort of presentable anyways. I guess that's my tentative plan, but I've got a whole bunch of parts on the shelf to work on the Corvette back here. I got to do a bunch to that car. It's starting to need some overdue service, and I do still have the cylinder heads and LS6 intake manifold for this car. I got to get to that. So between working on the 3rd gen Corvette and actually fixing up the garage and stuff, which I've been busy on too, there'll be a video on that in the next few weeks, so I do more projects to it. That's about all I got. So until we get to that, we'll see you guys in the next one.